Coming up on Naperville News 17. A new business proposed for the East Ogden corridor gets a no. A shooting tragedy too close to home. And a look back on history 50 years in the making. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this week's Naperville News. The former Fair Oaks Ford dealership in North Naperville may be staying vacant for a bit longer. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena tells us why.
A new Buc-ee's gas station and car wash was denied by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The project would sit on the northwest corner of East Ogden Avenue and Naper Boulevard, taking over the vacant Fair Oaks Ford dealership. Behind the project is Buchanan Energy, who wants to subdivide the 4.36-acre property into 2 lots so they can put Buc-ee's on Lot 1 and later sell Lot 2. But city staff found this concerning.
Upon review, staff does not feel the size or design of Buc-ee's on Lot 1, the unknown future of Lot 2, and what future integration between these 2 properties would look like, lack of a cross-access easement connecting to the north, or potential proximity to 2 other gas stations achieve the gateway development envisioned for this area.
Most commissioners agreed, especially citing the Kitty Corner gas station and problems with Lot 2. They also noted the need for a retail anchor in that space to help guide redevelopment along the corridor.
Our community has been speaking about the Ogden corridor for a long time and revitalizing that area, and I think we need to be careful and thoughtful about what we're putting in and where we're putting it. And when it comes down to this parcel of land, I'm concerned about subdividing it.
But Buchanan Energy argued their development would encourage others to come to the area as envisioned.
I think once we get started, and certainly once it's finished, it will start changing things. I mean, you've had the car wash down the road where the old restaurant is, but that's down Ogden a little bit. This is on your corner. When we do this, people will start getting interested in it.
Given the property's vacancy since 2012, Commissioner Bill Habel felt waiting longer for the right petitioner wouldn't be the right move. He was the sole vote in favor of the proposal, while the 6 other commissioners voted against. Chairwoman Kamala Martinez was absent from the meeting. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
The 6-1 vote against the project now goes to Naperville City Council. The Special Events and Cultural Amenities Commission is considering a sunset policy for its grant recipients. At the Commission's latest task force meeting, officials discussed the pros and cons of dropping projects from their funding after a certain number of years. The idea being that SECA is designed to help projects get off the ground, but not to sustain them long term.
Any one of our projects should show community support as evidence of their success. And, in the absence of that, we are there to support them as they develop a project, but we are not there to provide ongoing budgetary support for a mature event.
The commissioner said a sunset policy would reinforce this idea that if the event is an asset to the community will support the project through sponsorships or ticket sales. The commission did say, however, that there would likely be several exceptions should a sunset policy be adopted. And in full disclosure, NCTV 17 is partially funded by a SECA grant. The task force will continue to workshop a sunset policy and create a recommendation to City Council at a future meeting. The Naperville Central varsity softball field is that much closer to changing for the better. The District 203 board approved a bid of $824,700 from Light Construction, Inc. to construct new dugouts, a press box, fencing, and much more to match the same standards as the varsity baseball field. Instead of renovating the current field on the corner of West Street and Martin Avenue in Knock Park, the district opted to relocate to a different field that's closer to the baseball field. Construction is slated to begin this summer. And the next Focus 203 events on March 13th and 14th will discuss the district's unique programming and services, which was the topic originally slated for January's canceled event. A big change in Springfield will shake up wages for businesses across Illinois. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski has the story.
Governor J.B. Pritzker recently signed into law a bill that will steadily increase the minimum wage in Illinois until it reaches $15 in 2025. That could have a profound impact on local workers and businesses in all corners of the state.
The goal here is to give people a wage that they can live with, and I think that's a laudable goal. I mean, I'm in favor of that goal generally, but that same rate is not the same in Chicago as it is in Carbondale.
And while some local businesses will have to adjust their wage scales, municipal organizations could see an even greater change. The Naperville Park District employed 391 individuals who earned less than $9.25 per hour in 2018. If the minimum wage were immediately increased to $15 per hour, it would cost the Park District over $1 million in wages alone. School District 203 would see a $610,000 increase in wage expenses, and District 204's impact would be about $1.5 million. And that's without taking into account the impact to other employees' salaries.
If you have an employee that's currently making, let's say $16 an hour, and a new hire comes in at $15, that employer, or that employee rather, that's been in a business for 5 years or 10 years, is going to ask for a raise as well. And I think that makes sense.
The last time Illinois increased minimum wage was in 2010, making it $8.25 per hour. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Illinois will become the fourth state to increase minimum wage to $15 an hour. After the break, victims are remembered and a community mourns after a shooting rampage in Aurora.
Did you know that nearly 7 out of 10 adults regularly use prescription medications? That's why it's so important to keep them secure. Move medications to a higher shelf. Keep them in a private bathroom cabinet. Or lock all household medications in a designated container. For more information, visit communityallianceforprevention.org.
The workplace shooting in Aurora on February 15th rocked the community. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski gives us their response.
Trevor Weiner.
The Water Street Mall in Aurora fell silent for 5 minutes in honor of the 5 killed in February 15th's mass shooting at the Henry Pratt Company. Interfaith leaders and legislative officials shared their thoughts with the assembled crowd.
There are going to be people who say don't politicize this moment. Please do. Politicize it, because we're not going to change anything unless we politicize this and talk about it, because we're not doing enough right now.
As the days progress, these victims have been transformed back into real people, our neighbors, heads of families, in some cases fathers of children, children of parents, people just like us with plans and dreams and hopes and expectations, all shattered in the moment.
The event was organized by Indivisible Aurora and concluded with a statement from the newly formed One Aurora, a student activism group formed in the wake of the shooting.
We lost 5 lives on Friday. 5 lives that should have never been taken from us. 5 lives that could have returned home today and been with their families, but tragically we lost those people.
The group hopes to organize events and fundraisers to help the families of those affected by the shooting. For now, donations can be made at www.gofundme.com/AuroraStrong. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Naperville City Council also recognized the tragedy at its latest meeting.
We send our deepest condolences to the families of the fallen and for those who are injured. We denounce these senseless acts of violence wherever they occur. Hate has no home in our community or in our world, and we stand together with our neighbors in Aurora to remind our community and the world that we are stronger together.
Chirico also thanked the first responders on the scene. Naperville assisted in the crisis by sending about 20 police personnel, about 20 fire personnel, and 4 ambulances. The mayor's comments were followed by a moment of silence to honor those who were killed in the incident. Starting with the Columbine shootings, an Aurora man has made crosses to honor victims of tragedies. Greg Zanis has made more than 25,000 crosses in his Aurora garage and placed them at the site of major tragedies across the country. But these last 5 hit too close to home.
I know it sounds stupid, but I was blindsided. I never thought it would happen. I thought, wow, what a luxury. I'm able to run around the country and come back to my safe town, and now it's not.
When a disgruntled employee opened fire at the Henry Pratt Company in Zanis's hometown of Aurora, it didn't take long for the community to turn to him.
Even before the shooting had stopped, people were calling me, stopping by my house. I live here. I can't get away with just putting them up. I'm expected to put them up.
The painted white crosses were there within hours of learning how many victims died in the attack. Zanis also made crosses for the police officers who received gunshot injuries responding to the incident. Community members carried those in tribute from the site of the shooting to place in front of the Aurora Police Department.
It's just that I know that it's helping America move on. We're not licking our wounds. We're standing strong. You see all these vigils around Aurora and how everybody rallies around it. We need to be united in America.
Sadly, this is the second Aurora Zanis had made crosses for. His first was the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting in 2012. Indian community outreach made a stand against terrorism on the steps of the Naperville Municipal Center. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena tells us about their peaceful protest.
In 2 minutes of silence, 40 bells tolled over the candlelit crowd gathered outside the Municipal Center.
Very emotional, very touching, and a lot of unity.
It was done in remembrance of the lives lost in a recent terrorist attack claimed by the Pakistan-based Army of Mohammed in the Indian state of Kashmir.
There was an attack on Indian paramilitary forces and innocent people on February 14th, on the Valentine's Day, where over 40 people were killed and many were injured. And this has been going on, this has been happening for many years now, and it's nonstop.
Indian Community Outreach put on the peaceful protest to condemn the latest attack and to spread peace from Naperville to India and around the world.
And we just wanted to come over here and show respect to our nation and unity for India.
Along with the singing of both the U.S. and India's national anthems, Mayor Steve Chirico and U.S. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois' 8th Congressional District both spoke about uniting together as a community in a time of need. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
The peaceful protest and vigil was one of many like it put on by Indian communities around the world. Coming up, a new meet and greet adds a nice mix to the election season.
Naperville Crime Stoppers.
Yes, I'd like to report some suspicious activity in my neighborhood. How does this work?
Yes, thanks for calling. Your call is anonymous, and I will not ask for your name. Instead, you'll be identified by a tip number. In a few weeks, call back with the tip number you received, and I will let you know the status of your tip. If an arrest is made, you could receive a reward up to $1,000.
How do I get the reward money if you don't know who I am?
Well, when you call back, we set up a time and a place to drop the money. You will be safe, and nobody will know you gave Crime Stoppers a tip.
Okay, well, here's what's going on.
Since 2001, families and friends have been caught reading Positively Naperville. At home, around town, and all over the world. Thanks for reading, in print and online.
Residents of South Naperville recently hosted a special city council and mayoral candidate forum. Our own Christine Lena was there for the discussion.
Development was the topic of the night at the South Homeowners of Wheatland's recent Naperville City Council and Mayoral Candidate Forum. When asked about what new ideas candidates had for further developing South Naperville, many said it starts with putting a plan in place.
To hear what people want to have down here, to have those discussions both with residents and developers and business owners, because whatever comes in is going to have to be something that people are actually going to use.
We need to work with Naperville Development Partnership and the Chamber of Commerce to continue to attract business and maintain and retain the businesses that are currently here.
And working with the city, the NDP and the city can help private and public sector work together to identify future economic growth opportunities.
Others felt addressing what millennials are looking for is the key to improving development.
They want to work for web-based companies, online companies. Let's do business incubation, try to get them out here and bring their families out here so that they can develop those businesses here in Naperville.
Life is changing, the world is changing, and we're going to have to utilize that space in a different way. So whether that is bringing in new concepts, recruiting in new businesses, we've got to start to look at it and embrace what a millennial is looking for.
And that thought led many to discuss how online shopping is changing the market too.
We have to start taking a look at our codes and ordinances and become more flexible to the times, because retail is very difficult right now. That's why nobody's going in. The 800-pound gorilla is Amazon.
That the home rule sales tax portion that is charged for purchases here in Naperville is currently not collected for online purchases. So I would encourage legislative action to try and capture that revenue.
Some candidates had specific project ideas as well.
I've talked to a few people about some ideas that might work well here in the entertainment area, such as an indoor water park hotel. The nearest one, we have obviously a lot of kids here. The nearest one is at least 45 minutes away.
More service providing type of businesses, more restaurants and things like that where people would go to, because there really aren't that many restaurants down here. There's not as many service like nail salons and things like that.
And other candidates felt focusing on current tenants would help attract business in the future.
The thing that I think we need to look at as a city council is to be flexible in filling these spaces that have already been built that are sitting vacant. I don't see any reason we have to rush to develop everything commercially or otherwise in South Naperville.
One of the ways we can support the local businesses and keep that local business district healthy is through rooftops. We need to at least try to retain the businesses that we do attract to that area.
Dominix is been leased out by its competitor. My understanding is that it's under lease now, and there's going to be something happening there. Listen, if we don't develop the right properties and the right uses, then there won't be people going to these stores and doing it. So we have to have both.
Due to a family emergency, mayoral candidate Rocky Kaler was the only absentee from this forum. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
If you couldn't make the event, you can meet these candidates at Indian Community Outreach's Forum on March 9th. Candidates for the April 2nd consolidated election also got the chance to pitch their platform in a new way. Naperville News 17's Christian Canizal tells us more.
Residents of Naperville interacted with the city council and mayoral candidates in a speed dating style format. The Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce sponsored the event, giving candidates a unique platform to speak with voters.
We have an abundance of forums where the candidates line up and there are questions that are posed to each of the candidates, they each answer. We wanted to stir it up and do something that was a little bit different.
The 11 city council and 2 mayoral candidates had 5 minutes to speak with residents and businesses before rotating to the next table. The speed dating forum was a nice change of pace, according to the mayoral candidates.
People have plenty of that type of venue to check out candidates. But this was something, again, a little bit more intimate, and you got to spend some time individually with people. So it was enjoyable. I think the chamber did a great job.
The questions were excellent because we had businesses and residents that had questions that were specific to certain areas of town.
The chamber hopes to continue these types of events in future elections. For Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Canizal.
The Chamber of Commerce said they had double the amount of participants attend this year's event as compared to years past. 50 years ago, a group of concerned citizens gathered to preserve an old church and keep Naperville's history alive. Today, Naperville Heritage Society and Naper Settlement is celebrating its silver anniversary as a nationally accredited museum. Our own Antonia Acuna has the story.
In 1969, St. John's Episcopal Church had fallen into disrepair
The 140-year-old Grecian-style structure at the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Ellsworth was slated for demolition. A local activist, Jane Sint, would become the group's first president, and she had a vision.
She invited people that maybe had a similar interest to her in saving the church and said, come on over, let's come and talk about this. Let's decide if there's something that we can do and rally and save this church.
That's exactly what they did. The Heritage Society raised $30,000 with an antique show that became a signature event for the organization for years to come. And finally, in June of 1970, the St. John's Episcopal Church was paraded downtown Naperville and placed on city grounds near the Martin Mitchell Mansion. The land and mansion was donated by a woman who wanted to keep the history of the town alive.
And that was Caroline Martin Mitchell, who donated her home, its carriage house, and her acreage. So the immediate surrounding acreage was to be maintained as a museum, and then there were additional acreage that became everything that we know today.
In 1979, Peggy Frank became the first professional staff member hired by the Naperville Heritage Society. Frank was the group's first executive director and led the organization for 33 years. During her tenure, the Preemption House and Visitor Center was built, the Brushstrokes exhibit opened, and the Martin Mitchell Mansion was fully renovated, turning Naper Settlement into a center of history, culture, and learning. In 2006, the museum changed its mission, which reflected the first 100 years of Naperville. Now it would expand to gather artifacts and stories from 1831 to present day.
It gave us the opportunity to talk about Naperville's 20th and 21st century history. And there are some of us who would argue that Naperville's 20th century history on a national scale is far more significant even than its 19th century history.
Half a century later, the Naperville Heritage Society is embracing even more changes by sharing others' immigration stories through their new collections.
We're looking to deliver a very strong sense of a community identity for all the people that live here. They should all find themselves here in their museum.
And to do so, the Heritage Society launched the Never Settle campaign with the goal to bring in new exhibits and digital learning tools for a campus of lifelong learning and fun, suitable for all generations.
It's our way to be able to take out the more than 70,000 artifacts that we have put away that people don't see, and be able to tell their story and help the thinkers, makers, and doers of our time and the times that come understand so much about who they are and why they are.
It's a way to honor the founders and remember the history while representing Naperville through today.
As we started looking at our story, tiny little town, right? When we started looking at that, what we ended up realizing is that our story is a lot bigger than our town. Our story is truly, truly the microcosm of how America grew up.
Preserving the past and embracing the future. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Antonia Acuna.
From February 28th through May 19th, Naper Settlement will host a special 50th anniversary exhibit titled Treasures and Chronicles. Up next, the Park District takes a shot on a 3-on-3 league.
There's no better time than now to be more informed about what's happening in your town. And that's where your community television station, NCTV 17, comes in. We offer a free and easy way to stay connected and informed with Naperville Now. This 2-minute video features top news stories sent straight to your email once a day, Monday through Friday. And best of all, it's free.
The Fifth Avenue redevelopment plan still remains in Phase 1.
Always be in the know with daily news updates from Naperville Now. Sign up today.
And that's what's happening right here in Naperville.
Visit nctv17.com/subscribe.
Something new and exciting is brewing inside the Fort Hill Recreation Center.
I think that this league hits on the spectrum of competitive women that just want to get out and have a good time, and also ex-collegiate and high school athletes that really have competitive drive. It's a really good sense of community and camaraderie. And I think that if they continue to offer sports outside of basketball and soccer, that they'd be surprised every time at how many people show up to play.
Meet Melanie Riley and the Cobras. She is joined by Jessica Hogan, Kim Whitecotton, and Clementina Kucheris in the new Women's Basketball 3vs3 League run by the Naperville Park District. The journey to this point started with a question and has exploded since.
Some ladies approached me asking us why we did not offer a league. I did some research, did some history. Unfortunately, just lack of interest. In a full court league, we just couldn't get it up and running. So we tried to do a 3v3, small court, smaller teams. And we were anticipating 6 to maybe 8 teams. And we have 14 teams, and then we have 6 teams on a wait list.
Fred Guzel is the program manager for, amongst other things, adult basketball leagues. In his 10 years with the Park District, they have never run a women's basketball league. And now, the overwhelming interest has forced the planned move for the men's league to go from Tuesdays to Thursdays, not to mention additional changes to the women's league.
Next year, we're going to break it down more into divisions. We're going to have an A level, a B level, and maybe a recreation division, because we do see some of those different levels filtering themselves out in league play right now. In order to help accommodate that, though, this year what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 tiers of playoffs to try and give it a better opportunity for more winners to encourage them to just continue to play and have fun with our league.
We just joined to play basketball for the love of the game, but we found that there are many levels, and since it's the first year, we're kind of learning from this, and probably next year we're going to do some competitive and some other to be more recreational. Yeah.
As the name suggests, each team has 3 players. They play 2 20-minute halves. Points go in 2s and 3s, and you have to take the ball behind the 3-point line to change possession. The level of play may shift some teams to different tiers, and although some players may have more experience and play at higher levels, all participants can find a role on the court.
I'm a lacrosse person by trade. I played 1 year basketball in high school, but I play defense, and so I prefer some of the other teammates to shoot, but throw it up every once in a while.
Some of us are not in shape, some of us are very good shape, so it's good that we only have half court. Even though it's a lot of running, at least you're not just springing.
Overall, the league is an opportunity for women, and in particular moms, to get out of the house and get active, something that excites the Cobras.
I think this is a safe space for women who have never tried it before. It's a coaching environment. We can stop the game and talk about the rules and just help everybody get better.
We kind of knew each other because we're just a bunch of moms. Who wants to play? Me, Tosh. What's basketball? Yeah, sure, whatever. So we're here just to have fun and get to know other moms and enjoy basketball.
And win. We like to win.
We're competitive.
Getting to know everybody and having a good time. It's been nice.
And the beer.
This might be our first year, but you'll probably see this team as long as this league is alive.
Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Kevin Jackman.
If you know of a sports feature we should cover, let us know at newstips@nctv17.com. It was a pawsome President's Day for a group of kids who spent their day off of school at the Naperville Area Humane Society. Kids ages 8 to 11 got their hands dirty making dog treats while also learning about animal welfare and safety.
I just wanted to learn how you should take care of them, how they would look if they're scared, and learn their emotions.
I think it's exciting to work with all the different animals and to get really up close to them. I think it's a good experience.
They even took a tour of the shelter and met with the cats and dogs up close. The shelter's next big event will be on April 26th when they put on Top Dog Winter Golf at Top Golf in Naperville. All proceeds will benefit the dogs and cats of the Humane Society. And that's what's happening right here in your neighborhood, Naperville. We'll see you next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our website, nctv17.com, for daily updates.
This week's Naperville News 17 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. This program is partially funded by a grant from the City of Naperville.